So if you watched my last video, perhaps you noticed that my room looks differently from how it usually looks, and it's not because I moved place or anything. It's actually the same room as always, and the reason for why that is because of the title of this video. Why buying music gear necessarily doesn't make you happy, but it still kind of does. And it all kind of started, over a decade ago, when I connected with this passion, this style of music or whatever. And when I did that, I kind of got this vision of where I wanted to be, because in the beginning, gear holds you back a lot. You don't have you have a poor guitar with super high action or whatever that doesn't sound good, and you have the wrong amps, it doesn't sound the way you want it to sound, and you don't have a wah-wah pedal or anything, you can't really afford it. And when you get the first piece of gear that are in alignment with where you want to go, which kind of are in alignment with your vision of what you want to achieve, it's really exciting and really fun. And then you kind of continue on that, and you want to get more and more that are in alignment, and the more you get, the more you kind of start to get ideas on how to move forward. And I kind of continued on that kind of path for like I said, over a decade, and eventually I got to a point where I don't know if most of you have probably started watching my channel this year, but for those of you that watched my channel before, perhaps you remember I used to have, these amps in the background, these two Marshall amps in small format, and this perfectly treated room with these black tiles, the reflectors, whatever they're called, and I had all the main guitars I wanted and all the main gear I wanted and everything. And I felt like, 10 years ago, I felt like if I got to that point, then, creativity would be so easily, and just creative ideas would just flourish, and everything would be so easy and so fun and all that if I just got to that point. And it was really exciting to move forward to that point. But then when you get to that point, and you don't really feel like you have anything to add more, you just keep things the same, which I did for a long time. And that goes from being, really, really exciting to turn in on itself and get really, really depressing, because, we have this thing called, hedonic adaptation, where you get used to things, and if things doesn't change, if it doesn't move forward, you just get bored with it and depressed with it, and it's not fun anymore. And the point of this video isn't that materialism doesn't make you happy or whatever, because you have all heard that 1,000 times, and I knew that a long time. But I knew that intellectually, but I still kind of had this gut feeling that I wanted to achieve that. But it's kind of satisfying actually to really experience that it truly doesn't really make you happy to get to a finishing point, because it turns out that there is really no finishing point. But then now I build up to the point of this video. What do you do if you have worked so long for this, to reach this point, and then when you reach to that point you don't get happy? What do? Do you sell all the gear and stop playing guitar, and do you stop uploading on YouTube and all that, and just sit there in a room in meditation, in full bliss or whatever, in enlightenment? Or what do you do? Or do you, since you work so hard on it, do you cling on to all the work you put in and try to keep things the same, and kind of neglect that you are bored of everything? That's not the right word, but do you cling to all the work you've done and try to keep everything the same, and kind of cling to this point that you finally achieved? And I think that the answer is in between those two options I just said, and that is, I think that the right way to move forward is to keep doing what I always been doing, but find new ways to do what I always have been doing, so I doesn't repeat myself, and kind of find out of the box thinking and solutions to how I can get new energy into this thing, whatever I'm doing here. And one example of this outside the box kind of thinking for me was to remove all these black tiles or whatever that I had in this place for such a long time, because it got really depressing to have everything the same. And you know, when I installed these tiles, I didn't want to glue them to the wall, because then it would be so much work to restore the wall afterwards, because eventually I probably will move out sometime. So and I don't want to, you know, have to repaint the wall and everything and get rid of the glue and all that. So I built this crazy construction, this like cage where I could hang these tiles from, and that is why I could hang the guitars and all that without drilling holes or anything in the walls. And the point is that required a lot of work to get that into place, and also it costs some money as well. So it was a lot of resistance to admit that the right thing to do was to remove it, which was also a lot of work. And it was tough to kind of get started on that, but you know, it was a really relieving feeling that I felt when I got started on doing that. And that is why I felt inspired to kind of do this video, to just share that, you know, sense and feeling of relief to, you know, do this new thing and new approach. And yeah, and also the reason, one practical reason to why I felt it was logical to do this step is that back in the days I used to use you know, mic'd up cabs, and then I felt like it was really important for me to have a perfectly treated room so I could really hear the amps properly. But now I've gotten, I think for me at least, better results with cab simulators, and because of that I'm not as dependent on having a treated room as I used to have. So I felt like it was it made sense to make this move. But yeah, I just and also another thing with the resistance of removing these tiles is that I felt like it will remove, you know, or not remove, but ruin future videos, because you have this idea that it will look worse with these white walls or whatever. But you know, when I felt that sense of relief of just doing something new and finding a new approach, I kind of felt like it was the right thing to do, and I feel like it inspires me to continue to try to find new approaches to explore this passion of mine that I'm exploring here on this YouTube channel, and not just get stuck in repeating myself, but find a new approaches to do it. And yeah, that is really the point of this video. So I just wanted to share this message, because hopefully this is something you can apply in your own life. And also here you can see a practical example where it played out, or how it played out in my life, you know, a concrete example of it. So hopefully it was helpful or interesting to watch. And you know, at the end of this video, what I want to address here is that I know this is not a kind of video, the style of videos I usually do, and I actually debated a long time in my mind, you know, should I do a second channel to do videos like this, or what should I do? But then I feel like if I start to do a second channel, then maybe I will get bored of this format of videos and it gets old, and I just repeat myself doing videos like this, and then I want to change that, and then maybe the second channel doesn't make sense anymore and all that. And I kind of, when I thought about this, I kind of felt like the common thread of this channel for me isn't necessarily that I play guitar, but I feel like the common thread is that this channel is a place where I, you know, explore my passion and explore my intuition and do what excites me and what feels fresh and alive. And if I have that kind of mindset, I think it makes sense to do a video like this, even though it doesn't really look like it makes sense because you know, I'm really happy that these short guitar videos has been doing really well for me. I mean, really well is relative, but for me it has done really well, and I'm really grateful for that. And I've had this thought that it feels like if I do a video like this that maybe doesn't even get over 1,000 views, when I have all these other videos that gets, you know, over 10,000 views or sometimes even more, I kind of feel like it ruins the flow of the channel and everything. But at the same time, I think it's important to not be afraid to, you know, explore my intuition and try different ideas like this. And I have been getting like random ideas that I feel like I want to talk about, but I have been putting it off, and it doesn't feel good to do that. So and you know, if if I try to fit myself into a box and meet expectations at the cost of not feeling good about it, then what is the point really of doing this anyway? So that is why I do this as an experiment, and hopefully I get better at talking if I continue to do this. I don't know, but I feel like I've gotten a lot of ideas that I want to address, so perhaps we will see if I do more of this in the future. And also another thing I've been thinking about is that with YouTube, I feel like not many people go into a channel like YouTube kind of rewards if you post often, and if I can do these videos in just one take with not that many edits and all that, it won't take too much time, so I can kind of do it in the moment. And YouTube kind of rewards channels, the algorithm rewards channels that post often, I believe, and that is also an aspect to why I think it can be good to kind of do this as just some extra videos every now and then when I feel like it. But yeah, that is all I wanted to say. So we'll see what happens in the future. But on Monday I will do a regular video, guitar style video like I usually do, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, hopefully this was somewhat useful and entertaining, or maybe not entertaining. Hopefully it was more of a learning experience, or just sharing perspective. Oh, whatever, I should stop talking now. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.